Hello everyone, welcome to Bonsai Journey. Today we will be looking at hardwood cuttings. You are seeing the final product here and then we'll work into it. I'd like to say that I had pretty good success rate on these cuttings and I'll be using a propagator for these. So first of all we're going to start off with, I'm using some used soil from a tree. It's just akadama and perlite, something with small particle sizes that's fairly free draining. Yeah, there you go. 2nd of June is when I took these cuttings. I will be using Hinoki Sekka here. I'm taking long and healthy shoots. That is the goal. They're about 4 inches long, the ones I'm doing today. I think next time I do it I'll take slightly longer ones, but about 4-inch cuttings is what we're taking today. And here we've got some Itoigawa cuttings. Pretty simple, the cutting process. I'm getting nice vigorous shoots from the top that have got healthy, relatively short growth on it, and it's got a woody stem. That's part of the key. And here we've got a Chinese juniper. I'm just showing you the species. I'm not going to show you taking the cuttings off all of them. And I think this one's a Kishu. Not too sure because when the person who sold it to me didn't know, and they look quite similar, Kishu and Itoigawa, so there we go. And some other Itoigawa whips. I've got some cuttings off there to experiment with sort of thinner growth or newer growth that's still sort of just turning woody at the end. So here we are. These are all the cuttings I've got. I've got a selection of each. Chinensis on the left, then we'll say Kishu in the middle, and then moving on to the Hinoki Sekka, and then down at the bottom we've got more Itoigawa, and then older foliage that's more hardwood, and then a different tree but the same type. So I'll be removing all of the bottom foliage from these and leaving enough growth to hopefully stimulate some root growth. I'll show you the hormone that we're using later, but first of all we've got to prep these cuttings. I'm just showing you all the different sizes so you can see roughly what I'm going for here. You can see nice healthy growth. Right, so starting off with the Hinoki Sekka. So if you don't have a Sekka, it grows its foliage sort of like a triangle on 3 sides if you closely inspect the foliage. And I'm just removing all of the stuff at the bottom because obviously that's going to be underneath the soil and where we'll have some rooting hormone. So it's a very simple process. Just try and make nice clean cuts using sharp tools. That's always the goal when you're using bonsai, to have nice sharp tools. I'm just showing you a couple of these because it's quite simple, just to, you know, I always find watching tutorials, if people skip bits then it doesn't give you the confidence to work on it, but it's really easy obviously taking cuttings, and you should get some fairly good success rates. I've been misting them daily, we'll get onto that at the end, but it is the 10th of August and I know you shouldn't, but I've checked some of them, and all the ones I've checked have got roots and they all feel nice and firm in the propagator. So I'm pretty sure I've got about 90% success rate on this batch, which is higher than I've had before. So even with these newer shoots, they're still woody at the end, and this is the old Chinensis. And I may remove some of the foliage further up on one of these just to reduce the sort of demand on the roots, which are non-existent. But I think if you read up on propagation, I've been reading quite a lot recently, there are different schools of thought about how much foliage to have, and recently I've been looking at Durr's propagation manual, and that is mainly for commercial growers, and they generally say that 4 to 6 inch cuttings with nice healthy growth will reap the best rewards. So I will be doing longer cuttings in spring, and hopefully by then these will have got some good roots and I'll protect them over winter. So after I've done that, I'm going to put them in some water with some Hormone. So I will show you in a second what it is. It's Rhizotonic. A lot of people use it for cultivating plants in their attics, but it was recommended to me at a bonsai club, and so I thought I'd give it a go. So I will be misting them once a day, roughly, maybe not on really wet days or days that are extremely humid, but I've generally been misting once a day. And in the soil, so I'm planting them a little bit of room apart, but they're not going to be sprouting tons of roots, so putting them close together isn't an issue. And with the foliage sort of touching each other a little bit, it helps them from swaying. And I know that the small particles is to keep them still. You don't want them wobbling, because that will reduce the chances of roots, or possibly damage any roots if they're wobbling around. So that's the goal here. So very simple process, just sticking them all in. So I've sped it up for you, and I've got them in rows just because I find it is neat and sort of pleasing to the eye, and so I can sort of tell the species from apart and see, you know, which is successful. Obviously, if you're going to be doing bonsai for a long time, you're going to want more plants to work on. You're going to want to use nice species or varieties, and I think that cuttings are a very cost-effective way of doing this. And I'm just doing a small batch now, but when I move to my new house, I'll be scaling up the operation a little bit, and possibly getting some small polytunnels and much more cuttings, and then obviously in turn you'll get more plants. But there you go, that's the final product. I'm going to be putting it into a small propagator, and like I said, misting once a day with the rooting hormone until they're rooted, and then I'll just probably continue misting for a little while, and when they're fully rooted, I'll just take them out of the propagator and put them outside with all my other trees. So I gave them a nice watering, just so I know that the soil's nice and moist and free flowing to begin with. You don't want them drying out initially. And there you go, in the propagator. I'll just put them in a new one on their own and under the bench. Good luck with your cuttings, and I hope this helps.